So chapter 20, and if you guys didn't mute yourselves, I think you did, but make sure you do. So, food, water, and a good night's sleep produced a miraculous change in Boots. She woke up cheerfully and demanded breakfast. By this time, both Hamnet and Ripred had gone foraging for food, and there was plenty. Dozens of fish, piles of plums, and big heaps of mushrooms. Hamnet made a small fire on the stones using chunks of dead vines for fuel. "Are you sure you should be making a fire?" asked Gregor, looking nervously around at the jungle. "Take ease, Gregor. The plants are harmless in this part of the jungle," said Hamnet. He grilled several fish basted in plum sauce. Gregor thought it was the best thing he'd ever tasted. Everyone packed away a huge breakfast except Lapblood, who was still dead to the world. "Let her sleep," said Hamnet. "There will be food when she wakes." Boots was begging to go swimming, so Gregor took her in the pool. She rode on his back, jumped off the bank into his arms, and practiced blowing bubbles. When she got tired of the water, she ate again, and then pulled Temp and Hazard into a game with her ball. Hamnet called Gregor over so he could examine his feet. "They are healing, but you must take care to keep them from infection," he said. He painted Gregor's toes with the blue medicine, bandaged them again, and made him put the reptile shoes back on. Then he turned his attention to Nike's leg. "How is the pain?" he said. "Not too bad yet," said Nike, but she let out an involuntary squeak when Hamnet ran his fingers over the break. "We will have to camp here at least a day, Nike," said Hamnet. "Take the painkiller. It will allow you to rest." This time Nike did not object, so Gregor knew she must really be hurting. Hamnet dug through the medical supply pack, then emptied it on the ground and ran his hand over the contents. "Where is it? Where is the medicine?" The big green bottle was not among the supplies. "Has someone taken the painkiller?" Gregor looked around the group, but no one spoke up. It was unlikely that any of them would have taken it. Boots and Hazard were just children. Temp, Nike, and Frill wouldn't have been able to open the container. The rats might be able to break the bottle, but Lapblood was in a state of shock. And Ripred? He wasn't in pain, and he probably wouldn't be interested in something that fogged your mind. Gregor saw Hamnet looking at him and realized that he was the most likely suspect. He had fingers to open the bottle and painful toes to motivate him to want the medicine. "You know, Gregor, if you had asked for the painkiller, I would have given it to you," said Hamnet. "It is just that we usually save it for those in the greatest agony." "I didn't take it, honest," said Gregor. "You can look through my stuff." Ripred crossed to where he was sitting. "Open your mouth." He said. Gregor did, not sure what was going on. The rat took a deep sniff of his breath. "He hasn't swallowed any of it." "My apologies," Hamnet said to Gregor. "Well, that does not leave us many options." Before Gregor could ask what he meant, Boots threw one of her long, high balls into the surrounding jungle. Hazard started after it, but Gregor caught his shoulder. "No, I'll get it, Hazard." He didn't want either of the kids running around out there, even if the plants were supposed to be harmless. It took a little while to find the ball since there was no path and the vines were thick close to the ground. He finally spotted it wedged between two roots. "Heads up," he called and winged it back into the clearing. That's when he caught a glimpse of her out of the corner of his eye. She was sitting motionless up in the vines and must have been watching him the whole time. While he spoke, he examined a hangnail that had been bugging him. "So, you were just going to sit there and watch me die?" He's talking to Luxa. "I thought you and Ripred were here to attack the nibblers," said Luxa. There was nothing apologetic in her tone. "Why's that?" said Gregor. "The rats have always hated the nibblers because they are on good terms with the humans. The nibblers fought on our side in the last war, so the rats drove them into the jungle hoping they would starve and be eaten by predators. However, the nibblers are stronger than the rats give them credit for," said Luxa. "That could be a reason why the rats are here. What about me?" said Gregor. "You did not kill the Bane," said Luxa. "When I saw you and two rats in the jungle, I could only assume you had crossed over to their side." "Okay, you got me. I've hooked up with Ripred and we're taking over the Underland and splitting it 50-50 because, I just can't get enough of this place." Gregor bit off the hangnail and spit it into the vines with disgust. Geez, Luxa. The whole time he was down here, all he ever wanted to do was get home to his family in one piece. She knew that. The idea that he had some big plan with Rip Red was ridiculous. You may sneer, but that is not so different from what Henry tried, said Luxa. Henry. He'd been her cousin, her best friend, and the guy who had sold her over to the rats for some crazy scheme where they would all share power. Gregor admitted Luxa had cause to be suspicious, but still. I'm not Henry, said Gregor. He sighed when he thought of what an impossible task it was to get Luxa to trust him. Probably the only one she trusted was her bond, if the bat was still alive. What happened to Aurora? She is injured, said Luxa. That was a relief anyway, to know Aurora hadn't been killed. Injured how? Asked Gregor. It is her wing. It has been pulled from its socket. She cannot fly, and I cannot leave her. She suffers greatly, said Luxa. Something clicked in Gregor's head. So you took the painkiller. I did not know Nike needed it. I will bring some back, said Luxa. You know, your uncle should look at Aurora. He's pretty good with medical stuff, said Gregor. Luxa didn't answer. She had not made a very good impression on Hamnet. And who knew what she thought of the guy, showing up after 10 years when everyone believed he was dead? As things stood, Gregor realized she would never be able to ask him for help. I'll talk to him, see if there's anything he can do, but you have to come with me. Sorry. After a minute, she slid down a vine next to him. Her eyes were so sad and tired. Suddenly, it was hard to stay mad at her. What happened here? He asked, drawing a line from his temple to his chin to indicate her scar. A rat clawed me in the labyrinth, said Luxa. Thanks for getting Boots out of there, said Gregor. It was Temp, said Luxa. It was Temp who ran. It was you who fought so he could, said Gregor. She just shrugged. Come on, let's go talk to Hamnet. When Gregor told him about Aurora, Hamnet slid the pack with the medical supplies on his back. Gregor and Hamnet followed Luxa a short distance through the jungle. She pushed aside a thick swath of vines and revealed the entrance to a cave. The poor thing was lying on her belly. Oh, inside were a few mice and Luxa's golden bat Aurora. The poor thing was lying on her belly, probably the last position a bat would choose to rest in, with one wing extended at a grotesque angle. Her eyes had a dull, remote expression that Gregor had never seen in them. He hoped it was just from the medicine. She has a dislocated wing, said Hamnet with a frown. How long has it been out of the socket? Many weeks, said Luxa. Hamnet shook his head. Even if I can maneuver it back into place, the damage may be lasting, but we can do only what we can. Just getting Aurora into a standing position caused the bat to shriek.